All right, welcome to the latest edition of the FPL America podcast. This is David Smith.
Travis Hoig.
Brian Shesko.
All right, before we get started, I just want to throw this out there. The boys had to wait for me to get started. Sure. This is people want to know what's really going on. This is real life. Something's going on with my digestive tract. I'm not sick. Don't feel great. But, if I have to get up and leave.
Sounds sick.
If I have to get up and leave, just don't ask questions. The boys are going to continue on like I was never here, like they probably wish in the first place. All right, now that that's out of the way, there's a few things that happened this weekend. We have technically 3 match weeks left, right? Do I understand that correctly? It's 36, 37, 38.
Right.
Yeah.
35 was this past weekend.
We still have one more.
We still have the one match left.
There's one match left. It's not over.
Thursday?
It's the Chelsea-Tottenham game, right?
Yep.
Where Brian is hoping it's a score fest, and he goes leapfrogging past me in the mini league and podcast.
My only chance.
So I hope it's a 0-0 draw. That's what I'm hoping for. That will be super. But anyways, all that being said, so much to talk about this weekend. We have Arsenal gets by in the North London derby by the hair of their chinny chin chin. Liverpool struggles, and weird things seem to be in the air over there. I don't understand. And then Manchester City continues to grog smash people.
Yep.
So,
credit to Nottingham Forest. For getting nothing but trying real hard.
No doubt about it. So, among other things, and there might be a little discussion about the relegation battle, but we're here because we discuss fantasy Premier League things, and that's what we're going to do.
You know what I got tonight?
No.
As far as content, not like what did I purchase?
Oh, okay. I know. I thought you you were going to share like a new pickleball paddle
Or a virus.
I got a big slab of salmon. It was a great deal.
Okay.
No.
Okay, great.
No, I just have kind of the list of I think it might be helpful just to talk through hey, these guys are the ones who are in form right now.
Right.
Because the last bits of decision making that you have it's really game week 37.
Right, which is a double match week. 36.
And how you can maximize your last 3 weeks here. But for sure, I think 37 is kind of the everyone has been gearing toward. Yeah, everyone's been gearing toward that. So I just think this list gearing toward that, and then I think just when you see these names and you see kind of who's in here, I think it should make you rethink
some things.
Well, and I'm saying it because this week already is it's a little bit of a disappointment. Or you got to watch it kind of flipped on its head. You got to watch a lot of guys that you probably sold or maybe benched or whatever doing real good. And then
I benched Saka, but he's going to come in because Foden didn't play.
Yeah. So there's lots of disappointments all over the place, but then surprises that could, maybe it didn't hurt you so bad. Either way, I feel like it's worth it to kind of go through some of these names because it might change maybe some of the decisions you got in front of you.
All right. Well,
but we can talk about the top end of the table for sure because that's the kind of the gateway.
I was going to say, that's going to lead us into things? Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, Travis, you want to start with Arsenal or Liverpool or City?
You know what?
And none's not an option. I mean, I guess we could. We could start with Newcastle.
Yeah,
Newcastle 5, Sheffield 1. Isak continues to be relevant.
Yeah.
And is anyone else relevant? My first question now will be going forward. I know some, but I don't know all. Does Newcastle double in 37?
They do.
Okay. Therefore, relevant. I feel like at this point, anyone who doubles in 37 is fairly relevant.
Yeah, Newcastle. We've talked about kind of the decision making you've got in front of you. Isak is now a very good asset that everyone has. So that's the tough thing with Isak. And I feel like part of this, something that I think is kind of the overarching view
36%.
Right, but if I would say for active managers, especially active managers in the top, say 100,000.
Right, everyone's got Isak.
It's the effective ownership of the player is high. So I think Just something that is worth kind of thinking of is, do you want to have him in your team? Yeah, because if you don't have him, you're not getting those points, and everybody else is.
That's right.
Sure, but we're also at that stage of the season where, like, I don't know how you want to do your decision making here, because if you don't have him, if you're one of the 60-some% of people that don't have him, and you're thinking about what to do, like, there are ways you could swerve out of that. Something that happened in this match that you saw that is a consideration that probably no one is thinking of doing yet is who else scored in this match?
Bruno Guimaraes.
He did. Who else?
Callum Wilson.
So
but he subbed on, right?
I know he subbed on, but why won't he play minutes? I'm not saying he's going to I'm not saying he's an Isak replacement.
But you're not going to own both either.
Why not?
66 minute. This is way late.
Would you rather have Callum Wilson in a double or Mateta against Wolves?
Yeah, I'd rather have Callum Wilson in a double.
No. I disagree.
Yeah, you would.
No, I think I'm taking my chances with Mateta.
First of all, they can start together.
And or Watkins.
But they won't.
They can.
Won't.
I got tons of money now because I sold Salah. I could go Watkins against Liverpool in 37.
They look weak on defense. I sure. Why not?
Why wouldn't you?
I am not throwing shade, but
why
wouldn't
you?
The mojo in Liverpool clubhouse is weird.
I will say Liverpool's defense is weak to set plays, and
great.
Watkins isn't going to be your set play guy.
Newcastle's playing Brighton at home. That's fantastic.
No, Brighton's been horrible.
And then they're playing at Manchester United, one of the most porous, leaky defenses that there is. The only downside to that is it's Manchester United away. I'm just saying the match.
After you present it like that, I will say it does make the situation a little bit more challenging.
If it was like the 18-year-old guy that they want to, that they're saying, hey, we got to get this guy out here because we want to see what he has, you don't take a chance on it. It's Callum Wilson. Callum Wilson just needed to come back and step on the pitch and be done with his surgery, and he scores a goal. Yeah, it's against Sheffield. Yeah, it's against now relegated Sheffield.
They got 4 matches left through this season. You really think they're just going to go balls to the wall and throw Wilson out there along with Isak?
I think Callum Wilson would want to play.
No. This is worth talking about.
Are they shopping him, you think?
Hold on.
Because that could be a factor.
I don't think they're shopping him. I don't think his value is much. But I will say this. Newcastle currently sitting in 7th place. Manchester United in 6th place, 1 point ahead of them. And that spot, that's a Europa spot. The 6th spot is Europa, better than Europa Conference, right?
Yeah.
So the 6th spot, like they're battling for that 6th spot. That arguably that game they play in the end of the double will have. I mean, that's
European implications.
That's a 6-pointer. So look, it's Europa and Europa Conference, but
they both want the conference because it's the only competition they have a chance at winning.
Maybe, but still, I mean, you'd rather play in Europa. Both would rather play in Europa if they have options. Yeah. And the money, I'm sure the money's better. I mean, the higher the competition, the money's better. So.
Yeah, I'm saying like, yeah, and we can talk about it if you want to talk about like who did what in this game. Like, yeah, like Bruno G is one of those guys that's high on the form list right now because he's had 4 pretty good weeks. He's got 2 goals and an assist in the last 4 games. So another good game for him here. I mean, you're not that if you're doing it, if you're getting him, you're doing it strictly for the differential of it, but I'm really
considering that. That's one of the transfers that I was playing with all this week.
In place of who? Because like you don't have a crap team.
No, but I was trying to maximize the double of Tottenham, and I don't have to worry about that anymore because I can just focus on the double in 37. And so Brennan Johnson was my differential.
Okay.
He's not getting enough minutes or doing enough, I don't think. So it was kind of like a punt to grab him.
I would rather own Guimaraes than Brennan Johnson.
Brennan Johnson, I think.
Well, I would like to see what happens as far as that transfer because I have the same thing. That was this week was like
really.
And it was a Newcastle driven decision because I had like a lot of people, which now the defensive headache for people is large. Yeah. I think a lot of popular defenders from the last few weeks are severely injured. Some of them out for the remainder of the season. But I had basically I had 2 fit defenders going into this weekend. I had to make a defender transfer. So I was like, well, let's just get in this Newcastle guy now. Whoever it is, everyone going for Fabian Schär, and I was like, I'm not going to do that. Let's get Big Dan Burn. I'm going to put Dan Burn in there. But I forgot that 2 weeks ago, I had already made a transfer to bring in Dubravka. So instead of Salah to Gordon, I had already maxed out my Newcastle people, and I just thought, why didn't I think about this just a little bit harder?
Yeah, that
like,
sucks.
What if I could have gone to I don't know, Harry Maguire or somebody else, kind of looking ahead to 37, take my chances, whatever.
Dallo, yeah, I like
didn't do it, and yeah. So instead of doing Salah to Gordon, I had already maxed out my Newcastle.
Who'd you end up with?
Brennan Johnson, because that's
how you end up with him,
right? Because in the end,
that's a terrible trade-off between Gordon and Johnson. Ugh, especially this week.
We'll see. There's still now that Timo Werner's injured,
it's going to be 0-0, Ryan. It's a 0-0.
If that game finishes 0-0,
I agree. I hear you.
The shock of the season.
Just what I'm rooting for.
Yeah. No, I don't hate Bruno G as a I just think it's
right.
I think the Newcastle midfielders not named Gordon are all to me it just feels like it's I don't know.
Kamarish and Gordon are there, but Gordon is definitely the buy. I've rode Gordon all season, and it's kept me in last place, so it's been great.
Solid move.
But
he's had decent numbers.
He's been fantastic. He's absolutely fantastic. So I don't think that you can ignore him any more than you can ignore Palmer, truthfully.
Yeah, and that's the big question. So the way you have your team set up, and that was where my issue was I have Garnacho but no Bruno Fernandes. I had Foden and the question of, because another thing once we get to City is kicking around, because one of the hits I considered taking this week was if I sell Gvardiol, I can go Haaland, De Bruyne, Foden, and just go kind of all-out City attack.
Are you glad you didn't?
Well, yeah, it's the thing. I would love to have De Bruyne in there. I was never going to sell Foden straight up to get De Bruyne. Never would have done it going into this week.
But you think you will now?
Almost threw away Gvardiol's 15 to get De Bruyne, which would have been, would have been awesome to get De Bruyne's points, but not at the expense of losing a 15-pointer from my only good player on my team. So no, I think that's the biggest part of how you're setting this up, and that is the question is did you go for Gordon? Did you keep your Arsenal midfielder? Did you keep Salah this week thinking I'm going to have, cuz that for me I was fully prepared going into the early morning on Saturday to keep Salah if I knew he was starting. As soon as the heat came out that he was benched, it was done. And so then it was all right, for who? And I'm like, Gordon. Oh wait, I can't.
That sucks, man.
So where else can I go with this? In that game, Callum Wilson played 24 minutes, so he's got 49 minutes now total. He did come off the bench against Crystal Palace. So this is 2 back-to-back games where he's at least getting time. So
they're getting him fitness.
Right. He's finishes,
not starting though.
No, but probably not. I just think this was.
He might get one of the starts.
I don't
in a double game week, maybe, but
I think the positive for Isak is there's no for all the questions of fitness for the whole season, and can he hold up under a lot of the load of minutes. He's never coming off. This is how many games in a row now that he's played 90 minutes. I mean, he's gone since game week 28, 90 minutes in every game since game week 28. To me, he's too much. He is the obviously best player that they can put in there. So that's why to me, it doesn't seem like it's not Callum Wilson replacing him in the lineup. It's can they fit them together? Because it's not like Harvey Barnes has come out he hasn't lit the world on fire, I guess is what I'm saying.
It's just Wilson's goal.
Right. But another off the bench appearance though. Like this is what I'm saying. Like for these guys where
So why are you saying that Callum Wilson is worth considering with a goal off the bench and Harvey Barnes is not?
I'm saying it's
with
easier.
An assist off the
it's
bench.
Easier to put your second forward spot as someone like Callum Wilson than it is to take up your midfield spot with someone like Bruno G.
Yeah, no, that's probably fair. I'll give that to you.
Okay.
Where it would be way better
based on position,
right? Like your midfield, like I'm guessing, like no one is gonna. I don't think you're gonna have the guts to go without Son in your midfield for the remaining games. You like if anything, you're if you don't have him, you're maybe not buying him for Liverpool. Not sure why you wouldn't. I don't know what the fear is with that, but whatever. And even still, then you're gonna probably still go for him in the double game week 37. So then it's which of the Manchester City midfielders do you have? Do you have De Bruyne? Do you have Foden? Do you have both? Like you could reasonably do that. No one's selling Cole Palmer that's paying attention to anything. You're not getting
though
rid.
He's looked well off.
He did not look great. Until he decided to play harder in the second half.
Yeah, what was that? It wasn't even the second half. It was the second half of the second half.
Yeah, I don't know.
Where he had decided he was going to start running. That was a weird game.
Holy.
Nice.
Easy
Good
there,
catch.
killer.
Which of your midfield spots is taken up by a Manchester United midfielder? Is it Bruno Fernandes? Likely. Is it Bruno and like I have Garnacho? Like that's a question of whether or not Garnacho turns into someone else. And then then I think, do you have Kai Havertz?
Yeah.
Could you put Kai Havertz as your? You know what I mean? I just feel like there are way more midfield options that you can fill in the space.
Yeah.
Gordon is a legit is
with the double,
option.
yeah, and Fernandez with the double, yeah.
Which is why I'm saying like if you're gonna go Haaland as one of your forward spots, Isak is probably your other forward spot. Then I guess the question would be which formation are you playing? If you're going to play a 3-4-3, if you're going to play
in 37, you're
probably playing
bench
5 midfielders or you're bench boosting, right?
And so it does matter at that point,
right?
And so we should be gearing towards that and making transfers towards strengthening the bench.
And that's why I'm just saying, like, if Callum Wilson's your third forward at that point, and you're getting a good matchup at home and a plus matchup, for the attack. Going, even if it's at Manchester United, it's still against Manchester United. It's still a plus.
In 37, yeah, maybe, but this week I just don't see that being useful.
And I think that's because differentials. I think that is the thing that can matter. That's it. It's the one thing that matters the rest of the way. Do you want to do something like that no one else is going to do, or hardly anyone else is going to do,
unless they listen to you.
It's just
does Brian listen to him?
Well, and that was my next question. You're not actually doing this, right?
I'm going to think about it
and then not do it.
Well, it depends on how it depends on if hey, next week does he really do they start them together or does he get?
If I see them starting together,
right.
That's a legitimate consideration at that point. But until then, I just don't know, man. That's super ballsy.
I can't believe we're starting with Newcastle.
I'm glad we did.
This is the differential start of
pod.
I'm tired of talking about everybody else.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Sheffield next.
Let's go.
Well,
okay.
Just to wrap it up on the defensive side, because I think so many people got burned by Fabian Schär. Do you have him?
No.
Do you have him? If not number one of the top 3 defensive transfers in this past week. You could see he got hurt. You could see he was not doing well. Decided to stay out. They subbed him at halftime, so you get a 1-pointer and what was probably headed toward a 2-pointer anyway. Like all of the attacking returns came from the forward players from Newcastle this week. So
and they had gotten scored on early, so it was worthless.
Even if you had Dubravka or whatever this week, even as a goalkeeper, and you're thinking I'll try to take the clean sheet against Sheffield. They're playing Sheffield at home. What could go wrong? And of course what was it? Ben Brereton Diaz that got the?
No, it was a defender.
Was it Bogle?
No, a Mond.
Oh, even better.
A really hard name.
Perfect.
That guy.
So what a perfect way to lose.
I don't want to be disrespectful to him. It's a awesome name. Anel is his first name, right? Was I looking at the right game? I think so.
Sure.
So Fabian Scher is still like, I'm not sure what you're going to do with him. The way Eddie Howe talked about him is he said he couldn't fully sprint, so he had to come off.
Yeah, not good.
Not good for a guy who is, not necessarily injury prone, but a guy who has dealt with some things. Okay. So I don't know what you do with that. You're not going to like that he got a 1 this week. And then I think the other, like, it depends. Like, how many fires do you have to put out? And like I think the one you were probably not thinking you were going to have was a guy who's been overall, I'd say, reliable this season, Fabian Scher.
Right.
They've got Dan Byrne. You've got Lewis Hall and Tino Livramento, who both started this week.
Okay.
And it seems like, unless something weird happens with Kieran Trippier all of a sudden, the best they can say is they hope he can be back soon. Like, you could choose Lewis Hall because it would be Livramento that would lose the spot. That would be Trippier's spot if for some reason Trippier came back. But I'm not sure what you do here, especially because this is like I think 6 weeks ago or whatever, Jamal Lascelles would have been in every single person's wild card because he was 3-9. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is a defense that plays twice. Like we said, it's a home game against Brighton. So, like, that's probably as good of a chance as you're going to have at a clean sheet this week. Or in game week 37 is what I'm saying.
Right.
And don't they play Burnley? Did they play Burnley this week? Didn't they do the reverse of what Manchester United is doing? If only there was a way that we could
Burnley,
that.
Burnley, then Brighton United.
Right. Brentford. So, like, I don't know that Burnley's necessarily a gimme because you think that Sheffield seemed like more of a gimme than Burnley has been because Burnley's not exactly losing games right now. So, I don't know. I guess the question you have in front of you is like, you're going to see the green.
All right.
You're going to see the matchup and you're going to say, oh, it's Burnley.
Right.
Great. I love that. But it's Burnley away. And you're like,
that's a great way of putting Burnley. They're not exactly losing games right now, but they're not exactly winning them either.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're still fighting.
Yeah.
And even that first,
they're not doing enough to win.
Even that first half, Sheffield was like, they were throwing everything at it. Like, Sheffield really was like they were playing as hard as they possibly could, and for a second it worked, and then it stopped working real bad. So that's why this week, like, these are all super cheap options too. Like, Dan Byrne is still 4-5. Like, Fabian Scher is flipping expensive compared to all these guys. I think Livermedo's 4-2 or 4-3. Livermedo is 4.
I was gonna say
Lewis Hall was 4-2 or something like that. So all these guys that are starting for them, like, guys that you can throw out there that you're going to get a plus matchup this week.
So are you going
and then
against
a double.
Everything that you have said leading up to this about how terrible Newcastle's defense is?
Their defense has been pretty objectively terrible
but you're still telling us we should buy them.
Games like that, all of a sudden it's like, here's a clean sheet and here's a surprise clean sheet and whatever.
Okay, thanks, Oprah.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, thanks.
You get a clean sheet. You get a clean sheet.
Like, I threw Dan Byrne in there. If I had it to do over again, I probably would have hedged toward the attack. I should have thought of that harder. This is why This is why I'm still chasing.
Gordon
everywhere.
had 2 assists, an actual assist and an FPL assist on the penalty.
Yeah. So, and then I think anybody who has, like, I have Dubravka. I am kind of nervous. I guess we'll find out how much they want Nick Pope to retake that job, if they want Nick Pope to retake the job at all.
Because he's healthy, right?
Nick Pope wants to get onto the field so that he can go to Euros. I can guarantee you that he's going to be pushing to get on the field.
And Nick Pope, they didn't buy him to not be the starter. Separated shoulder aside, like,
their defense was more solid when he was on the field.
Way better when Nick Pope was there for sure. Dubravka's not bad. It's just not nearly the same. And again, that coincided with a lot of other things. However, like, this is where I think the struggle is. Like, I'd hate to have to take a hit for a defender going into a bench boost week. Do you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
But it might end up happening.
So you're paying attention. Got it.
All right. Aston Villa 2, Chelsea 2. Villains.
What a stupid game.
4th place.
What a stupid transition.
It's fair. All fair. I just want to bring it up more. Look, Chelsea, they double again, right? I mean, everyone knows. I mean, they're doubling in 37.
Yep.
Villa does not double. Is that correct?
No, they don't double at all.
They have no doubles remaining.
Right.
So does that change? In other words, if you had Watkins, would you move Watkins out, take his one single match week in 37, which is Liverpool.
Right.
Home to Liverpool. That's right. I already said that.
Yeah,
why am I struggling? I was doubting myself. Home to Liverpool.
The intestinal distress.
Man, unbelievable.
It's written all over your face.
Can you? Is it that obvious?
Yes.
That being said,
It's like a Pepto-Bismol commercial over there.
for sure. It's just like, what am I feeling? Is it worth owning Watkins and or Morgan Rogers
I'm glad you
for
brought that
one
name up.
match week?
No.
Okay.
Not one match week, but Morgan Rogers, we're talking about form.
That guy.
He's a midfielder is the problem.
I didn't even know who he was this past week.
The problem is he's a midfielder. If he was a forward, I'd be buying him all day long.
I mean, and like
It's been pretty amazing, his little form stretch. He's not pouring goals in, but he's got 3 goals in the last 5 match weeks and 1 assist. That's pretty good for someone I didn't know his name until like a week ago.
Let's be honest. You don't know a lot of people's names.
Understood.
I'm surprised even now that I was about to argue against having Ollie Watkins in favor of a doubler. I was going to say Nicholas Jackson, but he's 10% selected. That is
Really?
that is shockingly low to me. I am shocked that it's that low.
Why? What the hell has he done?
It's probably because of his haircut. Did you see how he's got like one side has hair,
his
one side
haircut's
doesn't have,
fine.
like straight down the middle?
Nothing wrong with having a
my
blue
gosh.
skunk in your head. Like
He
that
is-
is fine. Nothing wrong
Everyone
with it.
should be bald.
He's shaved now. He
So
shaved
it
it. Yeah, he buzzed it.
Is that true?
Yeah, he buzzed it for the last game.
Oh, okay.
No, I think it's that he went. It's the Chelsea schedule overall, like who they're actually playing against, and then the fact that they played twice this week. They play West Ham at home, a fantastic defense to play against, and then another double in 37, and ending the season at home against Bournemouth.
and their double
I
is
get it.
Forest and Brighton.
I get it.
No,
I
I
get
know.
all of it. But here,
It's that,
30 Burnley,
Oh no, I know.
31 United, Sheffield.
He's got one double
One
digit.
game, and when they scored
Yeah.
6 on Everton, and otherwise he's just garbage.
Yeah, he is
He's hot garbage.
He is Darwin. He is Darwin Blue, is what he is, and he's and the number the
They
number
said blue in a
that
different color.
No, Darwin produces more than that. That's he's
You're right, but still,
it's the missing of big chances.
Yeah.
It's the same, and Darwin has not done anything. Like Darwin hasn't had a 14 in the last while. At least Nicholas Jackson has.
but everyone was scoring that day against Everton.
Sure. It's just that it's more of the opportunity and the fact that he can put them away, I suppose. That's just the hope that he will do that.
Not I am not bringing.
how many more points do you
Nicholas
think
Jackson.
Darwin has than Nicholas Jackson?
I would say significant amount.
Just take a guess. How many more points?
For the season, I would say 50 to 60 points more.
35.
Nope. It's way less. Nick Jackson is 111. Darwin's 129.
Oh, only 18.
I don't believe
That's
that.
like
What kind of
it's wild, right?
What kind of fool's gold is this?
It's weird. Like first off, we're all
Look
we're all
at the amount of
surprised
goals,
that
though.
Darwin's
I
in the
know.
top 10? 1, 2, 3.
No,
4,
like
6,
this week,
yeah,
even
10.
we just said 2 seconds ago, Cole Palmer had a not great game, and he missed a chance. Like nobody would have been
really
complaining
bad.
about his game against who did they just play? Nobody would have complained about it if he buries the chance there at the end. He has a giveaway, and he has a 1-on-1 with the keeper, and just not a great shot. But even in that game, like the 2 players for Chelsea who had big chances were Cole Palmer and Nicholas Jackson. So it's and yet again another game where Jackson scores and it's
Chalked off.
marginally offside. I don't know that it wasn't him offside is I guess what I'm
Got
saying.
you.
So it's a game where
Yeah, in the build. Yeah, I think
Right. So
I don't remember how that went, but
it's another game where, like, you know, you look at it and you're like, oh man, he got it. And I think there was like, oh, like he finally got one, and you're like, of course it's offside. Nothing is more perfect than that. Like,
sure.
And then he actually does have a big chance in the game, and he doesn't get it. So, like,
I think he hit the post too.
I guess what I'm saying is I'm surprised to see, given the volume of matches that Chelsea have, I'm surprised to see his percentage at only 10.
Gotcha.
I thought more people.
Because there's other people out there like me probably just thinking he's just crap. Now,
yeah. No, that's
he
true.
Could
I mean,
dunk,
and
he could. This is not a basketball podcast. He could dunk all over me like LeBron on the person in the stands the other night.
You mean like Jamal Murray dunking
on
LeBron?
Right.
Yeah, that's
nothing
like
made
he's done.
Heart as happy as that in sports in a long time.
Not as good as a sweep, but it's almost as good.
I almost enjoyed that as much as Arsenal beating Tottenham this past weekend.
Yeah.
By the way, Darwin 11-11 goals and assists on the season. Nico Jackson 10-5. So it just feels like Darwin is always more threatful, and yes, he's missed big chances. But it just like
the number that was on that late riser gave this week was the Nicholas Jackson has missed his last 11 big chances. 11 big chances missed in a row or something. So just even Darwin doesn't. Eventually, even he got one to go in, I guess, is what I'm saying.
They whipped it with his ponytail.
Look, I guess.
All right.
I'm saying, like, that's, to me, it felt like that was more of a template move. And now that I see the numbers, I see that it's less template. I haven't looked at what everybody else, even in our mini league, is doing. With
while we're bringing up, so who's someone, Brian, going into 37? You would say, I am going to own these players other than Cole Palmer, who are you going to own in week 37?
Well, I already have Nick Jackson in my team, and I made my bed with Petrovic.
Okay,
a couple weeks ago.
Goalkeeper.
So and
hoping he saves a penalty.
The Chelsea defense is awful. So that is the most that you can hope for with them. I mean, where
it's
are
just
they?
A number. I get it.
No, where are
what
they
goalkeeper other than Raya, and I'm just mainly throwing him out because he has more clean sheets than anyone. But what goalkeeper do you trust at all?
Well, now
none.
I was going to say I trust one, and maybe 1.5. I trust Jordan Pickford.
Okay, right.
Because for whatever reason,
I was going to bring up him and Branthwaite. For whatever reason.
Right. Well, but if Ederson's injury really is terrible, I think, you know, when we talk about City,
Ortega.
you have a major decision to make about how you arrange your three Manchester City people.
Interesting. And
Ortega is the cheapest player in the game. So money shouldn't be, you know, depending on what you've done with Salah, money should not really be that much of an issue for you if that's a move you've already made. I know
should have already sold him.
Right. So I guess that's what I'm saying is, like, if you're just looking at Chelsea, you're not doing anything with Cole Palmer. The question is, you know, if you don't go with Nicholas Jackson, you know, where else are you putting what other forward are you going for? It's the same kind of that same question. What other forwards are available? The pickings are slim to me.
Holland, Isak, and then someone.
Right. That's exactly it. And the reason why Nicholas Jackson fit it is, again,
because it's a numbers game. I get
numbers game and the schedule. Like, you're just hoping. But then I was, looking through the defenders. You're like, well, it was Gusto. That was the trendy pick because of price. Now he's not in training. They said that he would, hopeful that he was going to make it back for the West Ham game.
Okay.
Which is, the game coming up. Still not in training this week that we've seen. Who is in training? Reece James. So the guy that Gusto was like, oh, we've got him because Reece James.
It said itself.
No, like the whole point was like he's nailed because Reece isn't playing again this season, and now Reece James is back in training again. So, like, just in time to, like, ruin it for anybody who was like, oh, I'll just hold I'll just hold Gusteau here for the rest because he'll be fine by 37.
Good point there.
Might end up seeing Reece James at the very, very, very end of the season. The most amazing thing, for the goalkeeper, Petrovic is probably, I don't think he's really under threat from Robert Sanchez. Who knows? He shouldn't be, but whatever. Like that, you'd hate to find out that was a competition again. The rest of the defenders, I just think you're not doing anything about it. Thiago Silva has the most points of any Chelsea defender since game week 30. He has 17 points, but he's only played in 4 matches. And part of that, he scored 1 goal. He's played 280 minutes.
Yeah.
He's probably the best actual defender they have. He's their best actual player in defense. But, are they going to give him his farewell tour? Are they going to give him all the starts in the end of the season? I don't know. Probably not. They haven't done it so far.
He hasn't been healthy enough to do it.
I was going to say.
Cucurella, 2 assists since game week 30. So the most returns of any of the Chelsea defenders since game week 30.
Goal.
He has 13 points total since game week 30. 2 assists, and he's got 13 total points in a lot of games. He's the only Chelsea defender who's played all 6 of the games since game week 30, and he's that's just, you can do the math quick.
Fast math.
6 games, 13 points. You can tell how many points that
is. 2.1.
So that's the thing. And then the schedule in general, the schedule's good for their attack and it's bad for their defense. West Ham, is West Ham a pushover? No. I know it's Liverpool defense, but they managed to score 2. They almost scored 3. Nottingham Forest and Brighton, unpredictable because both of those are away games. That's the double for Chelsea in 37 is at Forest, at Brighton. I don't know. Are they good? Do they show up and good Chelsea is there? The one that got
Forest will show up. Brighton's
are they? That's the
mailed
thing.
It in.
Are they going to get?
What is Chelsea going to do? So Forest will be there. Brighton won't. But what's Chelsea going to do is the question. That's really what it comes down to.
Chelsea's in 9th. They don't have anything to play for except a spot in the team, and they have a bunch of guys on 10-year contracts who aren't worried about going anywhere. I wish that was
an exaggeration, but that's actually exactly how long their contracts are.
They got a bunch of guys who aren't going anywhere.
Yeah.
And then game week 38, they're home to Bournemouth. To me, that's not. I don't see that as good. But who knows? How beached is Bournemouth?
They don't have anything to play for.
At the moment, they're tied with Chelsea on points, and they could finish ahead of them in the table.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but again, I just don't see that as a positive for their defensive players.
Bournemouth is more motivated to win that game than Chelsea is.
Yeah.
100%.
I think you would do way better. You might do better picking a defender from the bottom 5 teams, not Sheffield.
Senesi.
Well, I mean, he's one of the top form defenders. I just don't know how much you're counting on that.
Yeah.
But I guess what I'm saying is the only other way you can go is like this week. If you had swerved to Conor Gallagher or Madueke.
Okay.
If you had gone to one of those 2 guys.
Madueke, is he listed as a midfielder?
He's midfielder. So again, that's your problem.
Right. Okay, right. And
it's back to that.
Don't feel like going
exactly. Are you going to double up on the Chelsea midfield with Conor Gallagher and Cole Palmer?
No.
I mean, why would you?
Madueke is a form midfielder, though.
And I like him as a player.
Goal and assist in this one, and he scored the previous match as well. So I mean, just throwing that out there.
It's not insane. I know that. I feel like I saw it was like kind of limited recommendations, out there. It's not like it was a secret. It was just one of those like, do you dare?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, the guy's played himself into a starting role. He looks good, so. It's not a bad shout.
I mean, it is
a double game week.
It's an easy schedule. Chelsea's schedule is ridiculous.
But that's the thing. I just don't think you're looking at that and you're like, oh God, I gotta load up. I gotta get. Yeah. Well, can Raheem Sterling get some minutes again? It's like
definitely not worth.
It wouldn't matter. You're not doing it.
Hits. I mean, some people might be wild carding.
Yeah.
Going into this, playing it on match week 36, so then they can bench boost in 37. I think a lot of people, if they still have it. I mean, now's the time to use it, right?
Yeah.
To set up for that next match week. I'm looking at it and trying to figure out. I just really want a starting team, and I've been nursing some dead weight, struggling along with one goalkeeper. Kirkes, for whatever reason, is suspended till May 19th. Anyone know why that is?
It's a red card, straight red. They appealed it, and it was held up.
Okay.
So there's no chance.
You got to watch the matches,
He's been on
Dave.
my bench. I haven't been paying attention, and I haven't been, hand of God, not been watching, unfortunately, Bournemouth highlights.
Well, because he was looking real good until he did get the straight red card.
All right. And the only guy on Bournemouth that matters scoring is
Big Dom.
Big Dom, and he hadn't been doing it. All his compatriots have been. So, all right, moving on.
Hey, but still, like, honestly, like,
all right, final verdict.
Credit to Chelsea for battling back here against they're at Villa,
a spunky,
and they come away with a
fourth place Champions League Villa.
You couldn't score 2 goals against Arsenal. Couldn't score 2 goals against
Arsenal couldn't do anything against Villa this year.
That's what I'm saying.
Did it?
Well, no,
he's right. Arsenal couldn't. They played him twice and scored 0 goals. So Brian's not wrong.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, that game, like, I don't know that you were expecting them to. You're probably not expecting Chelsea to win the game, but I really don't think you were expecting them to come
get
out
a
of
draw.
There with a point.
Especially because Villa. No, I think they have 4th place. Well,
it's close.
I think Tottenham's got 2 games in hand.
We can talk about
Tottenham's got 2. Villa's absolutely playing for 4th place. Tottenham's got 2. I just realized Tottenham's got 2 games in hand.
Should we go to Spurs and Arsenal?
Let's go to Spurs.
Next,
because I think the
final verdict.
The final verdict is you're not doing anything with anyone from Aston Villa except Ollie Watkins. That's the one guy. If you would consider. If you want to go to a Villa player, you'd have to go to Ollie Watkins because you're not spending a midfielder spot up on Leon Bailey
or Morgan Rogers.
And their defense is you are not investing in Luka Dean, and you're not getting Emiliano Martinez. You're not doing anything.
I don't feel great about Chelsea. Anyone and I softened on my original stance on Nico Jackson. The matchups are really good. And maybe he finally hits in a big chance.
Right. So
he's due.
To me, though,
it's true.
To me, it would be Jackson. It would go Palmer, like
what?
Jackson.
You're out of frame.
So like Palmer.
Thanks,
Jackson. And then if you wanted to go with somebody else, just for the amount of matches, way down there, it would be goalkeeper or.
Madueke.
No, I was gonna say the only guy you could really count on is Cucurella. To a guy that you knew
to own goal
probably going to start the rest of the way, barring injury.
Madueke.
All right, fair enough.
So that's it.
I want it to be noted that we are about 40 plus minutes into this pod before we have mentioned Liverpool or Arsenal. So all the people out there who say we only talk about those 2 clubs, even though they've been at the top all season, I just want it to be known.
Or City, for that matter.
We've gotten in this far and haven't talked about the top 3 clubs. London is red. North London, Derby, Arsenal 3, Spurs 2.
You tried hard to lose it.
It was one of the weirder derbies I've ever seen. It definitely had some derby action as Richarlison shoulder tackled Gabriel, and he fell down and held his face and then hopped up immediately like he didn't get hit in the face, and they were chest to chest, and then Richarlison ran away like the little botch he is. So there's that. That was the derby-ish part of it. But look, it starts off with an own goal from Højbjerg. Horrible luck. Saka has a great move after Arsenal has a build-up play from a penalty that probably should have been called.
Yeah.
Even though it might have been an accident, I've seen it called before. Trossard wasn't reaching out for Kulu's leg, but Kulu's leg, as it was coming up, clipped Trossard, who's behind him, on the knee shin. Right? I think, is that fair, Travis?
Yeah, knee shin.
And the knee shin. Yeah.
Yes.
The knee shin. And obviously, there was no intent there. Trossard wasn't even reaching for the ball. Intent
is important. That's in the laws.
That was always Scott's favorite thing was intent. So, but he truly wasn't reaching out to try to get the ball with his leg. It was unfortunate coming together, and maybe VAR kind of got it right. I don't know, but the unfortunate thing
sounds like afterwards, it sounds like a lot of Michael Oliver deciding not to look at anything. As it seems to be the way that a lot of things
I had beef the last time Oliver.
I know what happened. I don't need to see it again. Basically,
what Oliver
despite VAR trying to get him to look at
Travis, jog my memory here. Oliver had Liverpool City the last time they played, and someone deserved a red card early in that match, and or at least a yellow card, and maybe it was an Arsenal City match, and he just.
Oh, that was it. The Kovacic when Kovacic went back to back, like strong tackle.
Yes,
strong
and he
tackle.
didn't even look at it.
Yeah,
Michael Oliver will not. You could
he
almost
doesn't want to affect the outcome.
Shank somebody in the middle of the match, and unless it is stone cold, even though the Kovacic thing seemed as stone cold as it could be. Bottom line is he's not going to give a card out even early in the match, and he's not handing a red out. He's just not.
Yeah.
And he refuses to make himself – he tries to avoid controversy without giving his cards out, yet makes himself controversy because he's not giving cards out. Anyways,
a little bit of that for sure. Yeah, that's certain.
Anyways, Arsenal, the call wasn't made. Arsenal takes it on the break, and Saka – the memes I've seen of, like, Saka sending Davies, like to the,
locker room. He's in the showers.
To over to France. Literally just poor Davies got juked. Saka scores a fairly easy goal. And then Havertz on another set piece ends up scoring in the 38th minute, and Arsenal's up 3-0. And they were not dominating the game.
No.
Like it was the weirdest 3-0 lead I've seen in a long time.
And on totality, like a game that even Arteta, even his comments, it was like, no, we were sweating it at the end. Like
he should have been.
Yeah, and it's so the
Spurs had 15 shots on target. Shots, 2 on target.
Great thread from the account on X, Prof Spur. Lowest possession percentage for Arsenal except for City away.
Yeah.
So 38% possession, and not as a result of just Arsenal ceding possession. Like the press was working, and you see. I mean, if you see the game flow bar graph that the Premier League put out, I mean, it is massively Spurs heavy, especially in the first half. And then the other amazing stat: Spurs held them to the lowest XG for Arsenal in any game this season. So
that's pretty good.
That's the thing. More big chances created for Tottenham. Like I think to me, like the Kulu one could have gone either way. I thought like the one that I like looking back on it, Partey absolutely shoves Christian Romero
on the set piece
on the goal that Romero barely missed. So if Partey doesn't come in and absolutely 2-arm shove him backwards, that ball's going straight in. And so that's one where you're like, did that even get looked at?
See, it just drives me nuts. And even though it would have been against my team, I can't stand that crap.
Yeah. Well, I think that's all
kind
anyone
of
ever says.
I do like
the consistency of it is just drives everybody crazy.
The stuff I do like is Ben White standing next to Vicario and undid his strap.
Yeah.
I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah.
I mean,
but that's another one.
Walking a line. Yeah. Now, I don't love him going up to Son as Son's walking up to the penalty. I don't love the guys walking him up, giving him an earful. Like, I don't know, Travis. Like, is that sportsmanship? Like, what is that? I mean, most teams.
There's no such thing as sportsmanship
have a guy
in the Premier League.
Most
doesn't
teams
exist.
have a guy that kind of does that.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of that. But Ben White standing next to Vicario and like messing with his strap on his glove, I thought was kind of humorous. Now, anyways, maybe I'm in.
I was gonna say
I'm
it's
alone
only
there.
funny when it's happening for you. It's
not
not when it's happening to you.
I'm sure. Look, karma's a real thing, and what goes around comes around.
So Rhea, so if you want to start, just do because to me the Arsenal question is the I feel like the easier one to answer because like Saka's probably one of his lowest selection percentages.
I'd have to take a hit to get rid of him, and he's just stuck.
Right, perfect timing for him to be actually really good. A hilariously good game for him here. Result anyway. Havertz. You probably still would rather have Havertz. Havertz, honest to goodness, Havertz.
If I could own Havertz and not Salah, and it would have been like for the last 4 weeks, but I haven't had a wild card in ages, and I can't afford.
Had other things to do.
I cannot afford a player I already have to change him with a player on the same team. And it's killing me. I should have taken a hit 5 weeks ago. And it wouldn't have been an issue, but like,
honest to goodness, is Kai Havertz? Is he the best? Is he the best player in the league this season? That's not like it's not like a far-fetched question.
Second half,
he didn't.
Maybe.
He did not start. Like he didn't not lock down the starting job until game week 15. So basically, he has been one of the top scoring players in FPL. One of the better, and then I'd say just in terms of real life performances, has put in like a season's worth of real life excellent performances in 15 fewer games, or at least a significantly fewer starts than a lot of the other top players. Like he's ninth in midfielder scoring.
He's still only 7.8%.
That's what I mean. He's still, and then he's a massive differential. He's dropped as low as 7.1 at one point this season. He's only now this week yesterday when he came back up in price. He's back to his starting price from the season. Like that seems impossible for a guy that has been like one of the top, like at least for the last 10 or more game weeks has 11. Been the number 11, one scoring player in FPL.
Out of 11 game weeks, there's 5 where he hasn't been in double digits.
Yeah.
6 out of 11, and insane. Those double digits aren't less than 12. All those double digits are 12, 13, or 14, or 15. They are all more, obviously. In other words, you could get a 10 or 11, whatever, nice. But it is crazy to discuss that. And I agree with Travis. The second half of the season, I think it's inarguable.
Just to wrap up the final score of it, Dave, you another loss for you in terms of your prediction.
I said 2-2, right?
But the happiest you've been about being wrong.
I would easily love that I was wrong there. By the way, Havertz in the season, 12 goals, 8 assists.
Yeah, which feels low the way he's
because
been playing.
It's all
honestly.
been backloaded.
Yeah,
right in the last 11 weeks.
Yeah, so. I don't know that you're doing anything with their defensive players. I think who
I have White and Saliba, and I'm just keeping them because they have. I mean, what defenders are other than Gardeval is
so based on your predictions, you're predicting Bournemouth to score against you. You're predicting a clean sheet against Manchester United, and you're predicting a clean sheet against Everton. In real life now that you kind of see the end of the season, how many clean sheets really between home Bournemouth, at Manchester United, home Everton are you actually expecting?
I would change, if someone's going to score, it's going to be United. I'm going to be so bold as to say there won't be a goal scored on them the rest of the season.
Wow. Okay. But I'm keeping your original
how
predictions
dumb
here.
that sounds.
Okay.
Not terribly dumb.
I'm just Everton they'll be above relegation by the time they get there. That last game will not matter to them.
They're already safe, I think.
Okay, all right.
Everton's already
so
safe.
They're safe. Everton's going to be an easy street that last game.
So
Arsenal will have everything to play for. I think they're going to continue to hold clean sheets.
So Rhea is your second form goalkeeper. If you have him, I think you're probably holding him. I don't think there's any of the double game week goalkeepers that you're thinking like, oh no, they have a huge advantage.
Right.
Onana, Dubravka. The only one would be Ortega. That would be the one. If you were really, depending on what your other goalkeeper
is.
And
do we know about Ederson yet? Is that official?
No, it's all that they said is he came off. It was Pep said his injury doesn't look good. So nothing that I have seen as far as an update. Like, oh, they finally they did the MRI and he's is a separated shoulder and he's not. The best you got was that it was going to be you were going to get an update on his shoulder injury supposedly yesterday.
Okay.
So, but as I haven't.
They didn't share the medical record with you?
No, it's really crazy how.
Did you check your junk folder?
I need this. I need to dig in. I might have had the filter on my calls.
It's a good title. Did you check your junk folder?
No. So that would be the one guy where you're like, if you wanted to dump Rhea. But even then, I feel like it would be Rhea and Ortega. Because what else are you going to do? That's why I said, the double goalkeepers. It's Onana, Dubravka, Ortega, whoever goalkeeper is starting for Brighton, no. Whichever goalkeeper is starting for, Chelsea, no. You're not buying him instead of Rhea. So, and then Vicario from Spurs. Well, I guess. It's not the worst. But I still wouldn't trust it.
Don't trust.
So that's why I'm saying,
right. Defense.
The fact that it's Burnley and City in the Spurs double game week, that's the one place where you're like, well, maybe if they keep the clean sheet against Burnley,
right,
and they get maybe Vicario saves 8 or something like that,
and gets 3 points against
exactly, and that's then
it's a 10, and you could end up with a 10,
right, and then that is probably better than the Rhea 6. That is kind of the high end
good call.
Of Rhea.
No, that's a good
in a game where they're going to score goals.
That's a good take, especially
Well, that's 37, so it's Manchester United. So it's the 1 week where you're like, well, they're at Old Trafford, so it's the team that's the scariest as far as the attack goes of the ones that remain.
Right.
So that's the one game where if you want in 37, but you're not shuffling a goalkeeper around, I guess, is the point.
Well, I have to get a goalkeeper because I have Kelleher, and
that's not good.
It's Kelleher-ing me is what it's doing.
Okay.
That was a long stretch.
And then I'd say the same thing. It's Ben White, Gabriel, Saliba. You know a weird stat? Saliba slightly outscoring. I just went back to game week 30 because I feel like that's you're talking about 5 or 6 game weeks at that point. So it's a decent snapshot. Saliba 35 points, Gabriel 31 points, but Saliba has attempted 0 shots, has 0 touches in the opposition box, created exactly nothing.
Yep.
And Gabriel is 5 shots, 1 on target, 2 big chances, 6 touches. You know what I'm saying? Where you're looking through the numbers.
It's not close when it comes offensively. Right. Saliba, again, is the same reason why Saka's still on my team.
Yeah.
If I'm wild carding this week, I would bring in Gabriel and White if you want 2 defenders, and Havertz. Those would be the 3 Arsenal guys that I would want.
And you like Havertz for the last 3 games. I think those 3 games are fantastic.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You don't get a double, but
they're all
his production has been such it doesn't matter.
For Tottenham, you got Son, or maybe you have Son. Probably you're thinking of Son or trying to get to Son. Probably. A lot of people have gone back to Porro now. As soon as Porro was declared fit, but I think that the goalkeeper and defenders, I don't know. You could say any of the 5 names of the starters, and I could say sure. If you said Vicario, Ben Davis, Van de Ven, Romero, or Porro, I could get on board with any of those.
If you wanted
5.
to,
yeah. And the reason why I say it is because since game week 30, Porro, Van de Ven, Romero each have scored a goal.
Okay.
Van de Ven and Romero, you saw the game. Romero is the one who pushed them back into.
He was almost acting like a center forward at times.
It's weird.
His goal.
He was just staying up there.
His goal was not.
It literally wasn't
necessarily. Yeah, it was a horrible kick from Rhea, but it was Romero pressing one direction and then backtracking into the space where Rhea was trying to get to. It was a smart play and an amazing finish for Romero. Scott
Stapp. He's still Scott Stapp to me.
But this is the thing. It's Ange telling them, you guys need to take ownership of this. It's Ange at the end of the game saying, I wish I could get whatever he's got. I wish more of my players had whatever he has. So it's like
a bad attitude.
Is it like drugs or?
I think it's just that,
or just willing.
He's the one guy who's like, I'm gonna do this no matter what, and I don't care what the score is. I'm going for this.
Sure.
Van de Ven said the same thing. Like it was Ange telling them like unacceptable first half. You guys need to do this. Play. You do your game. Play your game. And that's what I'm saying.
That's exactly what he said tactically.
Yeah, he says it. You guys need to play your game.
Just play your game.
No,
but what do we do? Play your game. But what position am I? Play your game.
You guys know. You guys you figure it out. Porro's leading in shots. It's eight shots for Porro. Like that's no surprise. Porro creates more chances, but Christian Romero in the last 5 game weeks is the only Spurs defender with a big chance. He's got 2 big chances in the last 2 game weeks.
All right.
And then touches in the opposition box. Pedro Porro, 15 touches, 409 minutes since game week 30. Fine. Romero, 4. Fine. Like he's going to get in there, set pieces. Van de Ven and Romero are both about the same. Ben Davis had 3 against Arsenal. That's 88 minutes of game time. And Ben Davis was in the box 3 times. Ben Davis gets the assist, the FPL assist on the Sun penalty kick because Ben Davis got, Declan Rice cleared him out. Yeah.
Bad foul.
Another one that Michael Oliver was not going to look at. It was forced into looking at.
See? Again, it went against my team, but I support my stance on Oliver.
Yeah.
It was absolutely a penalty.
Yeah, you could tell.
Declan Rice knew it when he did.
Declan Rice knew it was a penalty. What I'm saying is I feel like you could get something from any of those 4 guys, and like just the fact that they are even though they're open defensively, like the fact that they are constantly going for it, but like you see what they're doing in attack, like the fact that 3 defenders have scored a goal for them in the last 5 game weeks. So after that,
if you had to pick one Spurs defender for the match week, given all that amazing info,
Romero, you're say Romero, right?
He's the biggest wild card of all of them. I don't know.
Just like Scott Stapp.
I'm not really sure. I really don't know. Because if you want to hedge toward the biggest attack,
that guy,
you're going to Porro. Like you're picking Porro.
Porro. Okay, that's your decision. Okay,
but that's what I'm saying. And then after that, like, is Richarlison going to get back? Is he going to start again? Is James Maddison carrying an injury? That's the suggestion right now. Is that his performances have been kind of down because he's still carrying something. Okay, but he's not gonna quit. Brennan Johnson was a popular choice going into this game.
What about Kulu? What do you think about Kulu?
Kulu, I guarantee you, for the season is still in the top 5-ish of opposition box touches, and creatively, he still is probably their most capable.
It just
player.
Doesn't transition.
It just doesn't. Yeah,
FPL
it just
points.
hasn't done it, and you can't do it.
All right.
So the question is, do you double up on the midfield? To me, it would be preferable to be Son, defender, Vicario. That's the way I would want to arrange it, I think, and just take the chances on the goalkeeper.
Awesome.
Only other question is, are they going to, what's more important to them, finishing 4th or Arsenal not winning the league? This is a legit debate for die-hard Spurs fans.
What do you mean?
They cannot try as hard as they need to, lose to City, and City wins effectively.
No, they want 4th. No, they're playing for 4th.
Okay.
Well, not according to Big Ange. Big Ange
You're
says
kidding me.
1st or nothing.
Ange is saying
nothing else matters.
Ange is saying
if we don't win, nothing else matters.
Champions League money matters to Daniel Levy.
Right. But Ange is saying we're a football club, not a bank. So that's the question. And this is the thing. To me, of course, the fans are not going to want to hear,
how are they not going to play for 4th?
Tottenham.
Well, they're playing to win every game, I guess is the point, right?
Yeah.
It's like.
I don't understand. There's no way it's worth it.
It's the hatred.
What kind of business?
They're not going to throw it.
It's the hatred of Arsenal alone.
Or just Gabriel Jesus. He's the one that they don't like.
They really don't like him.
Huh?
He cries too
I'm just
much.
saying, I just don't know. To me, the players, I don't know how much the players are going to be in sync with the fans here. To me, you'd want to be more in sync with your manager, depending on how you want to stay at the club or whatever. If he's already questioning the commitment of certain people, like we need more Christian Romero and some of these guys than what I've got right now. Like
bring in Mario Balotelli.
I don't know.
What they need.
I'm just saying.
That's what they're missing out.
Okay. All right.
Luis Suarez.
As it gets closer to that, the Manchester City game is massive.
Fourth. They'll be playing for fourth.
Okay.
That is my opinion.
I think so too.
That is my opinion. All right. Moving on. Manchester City. We've mentioned them so many stinking times. Manchester City 2, Nottingham Forest 0. I was hoping with all my might on Sunday afternoon that Forest was going to be able to hang around. And you know what, Brian? You already alluded to it. They did. They had chances. And City didn't have a ton of chances, but, man, City's just City, and they just kept rolling.
Chris Wood, big whiffer.
I know. He
sad.
has really, really had some big whiffs this season.
The front it picks itself. You're not putting Alvarez in. Haaland comes off the bench, scores a great goal. Darwin Nunez catching strays in the commentary. I think it was Stephen Warnock that was calling it here for NBC Sports. But
he's great. I like him.
Said about this is the difference between Liverpool striker and Manchester City striker. This is the difference between Haaland, who on his goal, perfect touch to get around the defender, to cut back across the face of the defender to go far, kind of opposite post.
Right.
Darwin, who when he comes on, has the similar kind of positioning and instead blasted into the right side netting.
Yeah.
So, just a perfect example of the two finishing qualities of those players. Foden out with an illness.
All right, so let's go over this really quick. Foden, last 3 of the last 4 games, he has not played for City in the Premier League.
Right. One was Champions League related. One is knocked, not risked, and then this week freak illness.
Okay, so someone slipped a roofie in his spaghetti, and then he couldn't perform the next day. But I mean, what is this? Is he drops a 16 or whatever, and then he just doesn't show up anymore,
and then a 0.
And he gets sick from some bad food?
Yeah, he shows up and he scores 14 or 16 or 10 or 12, and then he's down for a few games now at the pivotal time of the season. But then who steps up in his absence is De Bruyne.
So that's my problem.
So that is a
De Bruyne, Foden. I have Foden. It's not worth a risk to sell him out to bring De Bruyne in.
De Bruyne.
Well, I think the good thing here is this week, if you don't have, because I think you have Haaland, assuming you have Haaland, and depending on what your midfield position was, you probably were going to Foden or were thinking about going to Foden. Maybe you had him already. That's what I had. And then because I wild carded Gvardiol in weeks ago, my Manchester City positions were already filled.
Spoken for.
So if you don't have the defender, you don't have the goalkeeper, I think you have a real selection headache here. If you wanted to just go all out and say, I'm going to take the highest ceiling from the players here, then it would have to be Foden, Haaland, De Bruyne. That's the only possible way to do it. The question is, would you have De Bruyne or Foden? And are you picking Kyle Walker now? Ruben Diaz was only out with an illness.
Why didn't you say your boy?
Gvardiol is going to be an impossible player now to overlook. How do you possibly overlook?
Three of the last 5.
He's taking Kirkez's spot in my team.
You, or you're bringing him in?
Absolutely.
Gvardiol. A 12, 6, and 15 in his last 3. 44 points for Gvardiol in the last 5 game weeks. Only Ben White has scored more points than that. 8 shots, 3 on target in the last 5 game weeks. Second best for defenders. 18 touches in the opposition box in the last 5 game weeks, which is third best for defenders. So Gvardiol's getting into scoring positions. He's scoring ridiculous goals. He almost scored. He had another one in the game against Nottingham Forest that it didn't bounce quite right. But he was the one that would have been the beneficiary there. I just think that's like you could make the case for Kyle Walker. Kyle Walker has an 8 and a 14 in the last 2 games now that he's back from injury.
I know. Just fair.
So that's not, how is that bad? He's got an 8 and a 14. That's ridiculous. I'm saying and then you throw in the Ederson injury, and where you can have a 3-point set. You have the Manchester City starting goalkeeper, and a team I don't know. They give up that weird goal. But it's still, regardless of what it is, they're still the second best defensive team in the league.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what you do with this. I really don't. Because you could go either way. You could go either way with this. You highly
balance.
You doubt that they're going to keep a clean sheet against Spurs. I wouldn't expect them to. But I don't know. That's what are you predicting here? Are you predicting the weird thing to happen, or are you predicting the likely thing to happen? Home to Wolves. Are Wolves scoring a goal?
He-Chan, man.
Are they scoring a goal against Manchester City?
This is the one game that they could possibly overlook. I am hoping for the weirdest. If they're going to overlook a game, this is the game that City overlooks and
Did they
somehow
lose to Wolves
maybe
earlier
draws.
in the season?
There's no way. There's no way. Is there a way?
Yeah, they did. It was 2-1.
What?
Yeah, that was one of their weird. That was one of their weird
do
losses.
They've already proven they can.
Gary O'Neill
beat them or lose to them.
Lose to them.
Gary O'Neill touchline ban for Wolves, so manager will not be on the sideline for this match. I don't know. That's some motivation.
Manager unbump or manager bump?
Well, anytime Pep isn't on the sideline, they tank.
That's so weird. So weird.
So either way, you're still looking at that matchup as it's a home game against a team like Wolves. So I don't know. It's not a bad matchup for them. That's for sure.
No, it's on paper it's a really good matchup.
At Fulham, at Spurs. Fulham, I don't know. They can,
but they won't.
They're not. It's not great. And then at Spurs is never. I mean that
draw, baby. Give me a draw
again.
That's
game
gonna be the fun one.
It was
what? That.
Was it 3-3 or 4-4 when they played them last?
Might have been 6-6.
12-12.
You
keep going.
Topped me. You doubled me.
No, it's 3-3.
Okay.
So the last time the reverse fixture is 3-3.
Yeah.
To me, it doesn't seem like that's going to happen again. I'm not counting on that.
Who knows,
but
man?
Whatever. Again, that's too those. It's just they're not. Yeah. It's not like they're these fantastic fixtures where you're like, oh no, Manchester City's got this in the bag. But they're not like the Fulham for sure. Not that. I don't know how up for are Fulham going to be. I don't know.
No,
and then home to West Ham. West Ham to me that's what an unpredictable. Absolutely unpredictable kind of team.
You think West Ham could show up for that last match?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Wow, you sound confident too.
Oh yeah. No, I love watching West Ham and seeing who shows up. Michel Antonio is one of my favorite players to watch.
Do you think West Ham was going to show up against your guys this weekend? Oh, you did.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
All right, we'll get to them next. Are we done? Are we done here?
You've solidified this. This is your done deal. I cannot resist what Gvardiol has done here in the last 4 weeks. Okay.
I'm just going for the block. I'm going for the block on one of the greatest shows of all time.
Yeah.
No, I have to block. I have to get every player that Brian has so he doesn't go steamrolling past me. If he doesn't, assuming it's going to be a 0-0 draw on Thursday.
It's going to be Callum Wilson. That's what's going to be. Callum Wilson is going to be the difference maker for him. Or Nico Jackson.
Well, right now it's Nick Jackson.
Who do you have going? This is just fun. Like you did a great job of loading it. You had to have taken a hit this week.
I took one hit.
Okay.
Because I had to get rid of, I had one active defender. I still have 2 dead defenders in my team.
Okay.
So I still have hits to take.
That wasn't in the news.
Unfortunately, I do too. We'll both be taking hits going into 37.
You've got Kelleher. I've got Connor Bradley.
Right.
I've got Kivior. I've got Kivior on my bench.
Right.
How are you guys doing as well as you're doing?
No,
because we have starters.
My team is awesome.
These guys have
compared
been
to yours.
riding the pine.
Thursday I've got Petrovic.
Okay.
So I've got goalkeeper who very well could score a minus or a 0 in that game. I'm not counting on much.
All right.
I've got Cole Palmer, like everybody's got him as their captain, Son, and then Brennan Johnson and Nick Jackson.
Man.
But again, that was more like.
Actually, I need a 1-1 draw, and none of those guys score.
Yeah. Yeah. You got Son, right?
No.
Oh my God.
No.
You haven't owned him all season, have you?
Although I have him queued up.
Yeah.
So he and Gardeval will be coming into the team. Whether or not I decide to take a hit this week or just take like a -8 next week. But I got enough business to do going into
this. This is the same. It's the same. Like, it depends on how. Like, to me, I would love it to be Ortega. I had Ortega weeks ago. I mean, that was like kind of a differential choice.
Yeah.
And he was there when Ederson was hurt the first time, and. You know, if you knew then that he was going to get hurt again, sure, why not just stick him in there and hang him? You know, it's again, he's the cheapest player in the game, but that takes up a spot. Like, to me,
Kelleher's 3.7.
To me, it's
he cheaper than that.
To me, they're both 3.7.
Okay,
all right. Yeah, I was gonna say.
To me, it would be De Bruyne. If you were gonna go real wild,
it's Haaland, Foden, De Bruyne.
It would be
those are the highest ceilings,
right? If you were gonna pick. Just based on output potential, it's those three. The clean sheets, it's that they get to play. You know, it's 4 matches remaining. So, you know, and then when you have someone like Gvardiol, who now I said 3 game weeks, last 5 game weeks for him, he is a 1 or 2 in every attacking category, and you see the positioning for him. It's like, well, the only thing that can stop it is Pep. So. Does he start all the games? And that is everyone.
Right.
That is the terror with them. And De Bruyne's not coming out unless he gets hurt again. Mm-hmm. Haaland is already saying, we've got 5 finals left. So like we've got the league, and then we've got an actual final. So like I'm here to attack all of them. So he's not coming out of the lineup. And that's where I'm like, Foden. Yeah, I wish he wouldn't have gotten sick. You wanted to see him out there. You would have loved to have seen him, but whatever. Like, I'm not sure. I have no idea how to advise anyone based on other than what. Like, do you have an opening, and which is the most pressing opening here?
There are options. There's no right answer. They're just options.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to it. Liverpool 2, Hammers 2.
Are we at 2 hours?
No.
Okay.
Okay.
We're doing fine.
Oh,
it does seem like it's been.
We might
a
be able
long
to wrap
time,
this up. That's because I was upstairs for forever. All right,
taking a nap.
Travis, what's going on with Liverpool?
Everything.
The mojo.
So many things.
From the outsider, not on the inside, looking at it, it just feels like for whatever reason, the team mentally has just shut it down, and. Yeah. Maybe not everybody, but a lot of people.
Good chunk of them.
Like something's not. This is exactly
really
what a
think that?
team.
Yeah.
This is exactly what a team looks like when the locker room isn't right.
Yeah.
And there's other weird murmurings and other things, it's not 11 best friends.
Yeah, they lost their motivation. Is what it really is. What it's playing like, which is sad because they've been able to overcome.
So much.
A lack of talent and opportunity with motivation in the past. So at this stage, it just looks like a bunch of people that are butthurt about their manager giving up on them, and so they're not motivated to play for him.
Klopp is giving up on them.
That's what it kind of.
Him leaving is giving up on them.
It kind of
is that the thing?
That's what it kind of seems like to me. Is that he squeezed every last ounce out of them that he could, for whatever using whatever methodology he used, but probably something to the effect of doing it for each other, and then he's bailing.
How long has he been there?
9 years, something like that.
Was going to be my
okay,
guess.
so
9.
it's longer than the 7.
Yeah,
the
well beyond
7-ish.
Yeah, well beyond that.
Yeah, because it's Pep. It's Pep, Jurgen Klopp, and then Moyes.
Moyes, yeah,
are like the 3 longest tenured. Managers.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think that's really what it comes down to. And so they're lacking motivation, and they're trying, right? They're trying, but they're just not there. Obviously,
it's just crazy how
obviously the rhythm is been upset, and they haven't been able to find the rhythm. And I think that's really what it comes down to, is that when the injuries hit, the news came out, and then the form dipped. They couldn't pull out of it because of a lack of motivation. I mean, that's really what it comes to. I don't think it's just motivation. They just flipped a switch.
I'm having deja vu from a pod like 4 years ago when something like this, it might not have been Liverpool, but the fact of like motivation comes up from like a top club, and I'm like, you're a professional. It's your job. Go out there and freaking perform.
Yeah, but...
And like, I don't know. I don't understand. I've never played professional sports. I played a lot of sports coming up through the years, even if it's like a freaking pickup basketball game or pickleball, or like the motivation to smash every single time I'm doing something competitive is 100% there, whether I'm getting paid or not. And so I don't understand. You know, I will say this. People think that footballers have an easy life. If you're playing international as well, the amount of games and the amount of off time that you ever have and the travel has got to wear on you at some point.
Yeah.
So I will say that. But come on, man.
They're tired. They're all tired. Absolutely, they're all tired. There's no question about that. You think about the guys that are underperforming, the guys that are performing. Honestly, the guys that are playing the most games are the ones that are slipping and causing issues, right? I like that youth came in, but you can't lean on youth as hard as we would have needed to in order to get through. And honestly, the team just looks like they're lacking motivation, and they're tired. They're legitimately tired.
So fantasy wise,
are they untouchable? To me, it feels like there's some opportunity here.
There is some opportunity, but it's minimal. And it's honestly, it's a gamble. It is absolutely a gamble. Salah's too expensive. We probably should have cut bait on him a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
I just don't think that he's ownable the rest of the season.
Well, I mean, I would.
That's not to say he won't score well the rest of the season. I just don't think you can take that gamble.
I was prepared to start him again this week. I was not going to take him out. I was going to give him the West Ham game. And, as soon as it was, hey, he's benched. Because thankfully, that leak ended up being correct and early enough that it was there that I could do something about it.
Trent still looks good and is still getting minutes.
Did you care about the exchange?
No.
Did you feel like you feel like it was a lot of nothing?
I think it was a lot of nothing.
The Klopp-Salah exchange?
Yeah. I think it's a lot of nothing. I don't like that it happened necessarily, but at the same time, one, it's not the first time. And two, that's the kind of thing that doesn't ignite a problem, instead ignites a response.
Okay.
In a Klopp team typically.
Usually say the response is coming from when they lost.
Still coming. We're still waiting for it.
From when they lost the FA Cup to Manchester
and honestly, that's exactly it. That was absolutely the point at which they have overcome, and then they didn't.
Yeah.
And
got beat by Anthony.
And then that was it.
Yeah,
that'll do it. It wasn't really. It was Amad Diallo, but still. A
little bit Anthony.
It just went, no, never. It just went down, and they just get in the dip, and then they haven't been able to pull up.
So you're not doing anything with Allison. You're not buying anybody. The
Trent is the only one.
Virgil, but I can't afford to transfer him out.
So,
Trent is the only one, and he's too damn expensive.
Right, and I was going to say the only people I would wonder about are Trent and Robertson a little bit, and maybe Virgil. And the reason why is because since Trent came back from his injury in game week 33, he's tied for second with 7 shots. So among defenders, 7 shots, which is second. And he's created enough, like 5 chances created, 2 big chances created, which is tied for the most of any defender.
He's taking free kicks and he's hitting them.
And then Robertson, since game week 30, is by far the number 1 creative defender. Okay. No, 19. Well, that too. So 19 created 19 chances.
Yeah,
which is by far number 1, and he's got 19 touches in the opposition box, which is
the problem with
Robertson
1. Is no one can finish anything that he's doing. So he is doing exactly what we needed him to do, which is putting in the early ball, cross.
And there's just no one on the other end.
And there is nobody.
Is Jota coming back this week?
I don't know.
Maybe not
in match week 36.
But that would help Robertson's case. But if he's not, Robertson is just not there. He's just not there. So I still think, Trent's the only viable option at this point in my mind. If I was going to take a punt on somebody, maybe Cody Gakpo, which is I know a weird thing to say, but I think if anybody is going to ride form and come through, he's on the ascendancy in terms of form. He missed this week because he had a child, which I think is probably good for him, honestly. And the new manager's Dutch, and I don't think that hurts him. The assistant manager that he's bringing with him is also the assistant manager for Ronald Koeman in the Netherlands team. So I think Cody Gakpo is probably going to have a good motivation to finish the season strong, and I think he probably does.
That's a good take.
So
I like that take.
All that to say,
Gakpo was your leading shooter this week.
It's again ascendancy for him more than anything. But I still don't think I buy him. But if I'm buying anybody,
I probably should have led with the fact that Andy Robertson, he didn't need someone to finish the goal this week against West Ham because he did it himself. He scored the goal, finishes with 2 bonus points.
He's never done. He's got 3 goals in his entire career.
But I guess again, the question with anyone who plays one match is, who are you? Like what are your other options there? People who play twice, and are you picking Andy Robertson in a game against Spurs, a game at Villa, and then at home against Wolves? Are you picking a Liverpool defender for the rest of the way?
Of those.
Not if you don't have to.
No, and that's where to me, it's matches that benefit the attack, and because those guys, like the numbers are telling you, hey, attacking wise, that's
helpful,
not the problem.
Yeah.
They're actually contributing to the attack. Virgil's number 1 for shots for defenders in the last 6 game weeks or whatever.
It's because we can't score. We can just get corners.
Right. So I guess what I'm saying is
corners.
To me, it feels like there's some opportunity there. They're way differential.
I'm owning Virgil only because he's been in my team and I cannot afford to transfer him out.
Right. So I guess that's the question.
On corners, that's fine. It's just we haven't been converting them.
Yeah. All right. On the flip side, is Jared Bowen worth a single match week in a home game to Luton in 37?
Yes. I say 100% yes.
He had been injured, and he comes back and drops a 13 with a goal and an assist before he got hurt against Newcastle, good team, 10. Against Tottenham, good team, 5. He got nicked up against Wolves, doesn't play against Fulham and Crystal Palace, comes back against Liverpool, grabs a 13. My point being is, even with the whatever knock he had, he seems to be in form. And so they play Chelsea next. You're not scared of that defense.
Nope.
And then in the double match week, he's home to Luton. And then in the final match week, he's City. Now, what's interesting is if Arsenal slip up and City continue to win their matches, and City is able to, in the last half of the match week of 37, to actually claim the title, right? Because they play a double. So the second match week for City in 37, they're able to actually win the title in that match. What happens in 8. So I was thinking about this earlier. If let's say Arsenal slip up this next week, match week against Bournemouth. Let's say they draw.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden, City has they have a 2-point. Now they have a 4-point lead. So that pretty much is a done deal. Arsenal has to win out if they want a chance.
Yeah. And
they have to hope City slip. What does that mean fantasy-wise? Talk about blowing things up. Everyone grabbing 3+, well, you can't get 3+. 3 City players. Going into 38, they've already won the title. They still have a FA Cup final match to play.
That's a great point.
What happens then to a meaningless match week, possible 38 for City after everyone has gone to City for match week 37? I know it's completely hypothetical. No one's going to worry about anything until we get there.
This is where I guarantee you that so Luke, Fantasy Scout, I think he's on Fantasy Scout, Luke, and then Manchester City Alex, both of those guys have the
in.
They have got, well, not even the in. They have the breakdown of what Pep has done with it situationally with lineups. And I think my guess is I don't know that there would be a lot of changes just for the sake of rhythm. So my guess is it's not going to change a lot. It's not like he's going to bring in. It's not like he's going to. Maybe they clear out earlier for the slight rest. But I think it just seems like the general thing is with them is it's always I want fit and firing. So I need you. Okay. I need you in rhythm, and I wouldn't be that too concerned about it. On the West Ham side, the answer to your Jared Bowen question. This is credit to it was Pross, actually, pundit Pross, who brought it up.
He's
I heard
brilliant.
him talk about it. Just that David Moyes has talked about Jared Bowen's goal. What their goal target that they had for him was 20 for the season. So the exact quote was, I was hoping he'd have 20. I was hoping he would have 20 out-and-out Premier League goals. 16 at the moment. I'm sort of pushing him. If he can get 4 in the last 3 games, it would be a great record to try to get 20 Premier League goals.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean,
incoming hat trick home to Luton.
They're going to let him.
That's the thing. He's awesome. I love Jared Bowen. I wish he wouldn't have gotten hurt. Weeks and weeks ago, like I feel like when I had him, yeah, exactly. Well, no, but like that's the thing. Like that attack, as long as Paqueta is fit, as long as it's the front 3 with it's Antonio, Kudus, Bowen, Paqueta. That's not bad at all. That's never bad, and that is a threatening attack no matter what. And the fact that Bowen, so I think that was the question is like. Hey, normally, they've got James Ward-Prowse is taking penalties for them. Paqueta's taking a couple penalties for them, but like we want the guy to get 20 goals. They draw a penalty. Bowen has taken them. Like he's taken them this season. So I like that. I think especially whether you have him in 37 or not.
Yeah.
For game week 38. So what? Who they're playing? You know what I mean? Yeah. Like at that point, that's the kind of guy that you're like. He will push for it. Does that equal like he's going to score? No, of course not. Like there are lots of guys like
but Bowen's got the talent, and West Ham's got enough talent, especially if Paqueta's playing around. I mean, honestly, West Ham I feel like is I think they've had some injuries, but I feel like they've underachieved this year. I'm
telling you, Antonio being fit helps them tremendously. Relieves so much pressure for them.
I'm talking a little trash. They're in 8th. They're 4 points behind Newcastle. Like they've had a decent season, all things considered.
But it is underachieving because ultimately they did struggle in the middle of the season.
They finished in 7th last year. Their Europa Conference, and they won Europa Conference. Was in Europa League this year.
You're not worried about them at all if you have them now. Yeah, if you were going to bring in somebody, if you wanted to, like this week, you want to go crazy, you want to bring in somebody that no one else is going to bring in, you get Jared Bowen, who is, I'm assuming, less than 10% selected. I didn't look at what it is.
I think he might be higher,
just had
actually.
It queued up.
At Chelsea, so what?
He's at 12.
12%. That's higher than I thought. So at Chelsea, whatever.
Right.
Like
he could get
that.
another goal and assist
and
this
then
weekend.
a bench boost. Like he's one of your bench boost players
home
for
to Luton.
37.
There's nothing wrong with that.
And there's nothing wrong with that at all. And if you want to swerve him in 38, you want to throw him out for who cares? You want to throw him out for De Bruyne in 38 at that point. Who cares? You'll have the money for it, and you don't.
You would rather own. I think I would rather own if it didn't cost me money. I would rather own. I think I might rather own Bowen over Saka if I was choosing the rest of the season. Travis, do you agree?
100%.
I think I would. Now, I would rather own Havertz.
It's so funny how much of this is contingent on Arsenal and City both winning.
I know.
They both need to win, or City needs to drop. They need to drop a win.
Just a draw. I need.
Right.
Again, that's all I want is one.
Then
draw.
Pressure's on everybody because you have to get the results. Then.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, they have to get the results now. I mean, if City, they're not overtaking Arsenal on goal differential. So if they draw, I doubt they're going to lose, and I doubt they're going to draw. But if they draw, that's the season for them.
Well, how far back in the season would you have to go to say where you're like, there's no way Arsenal's going to beat Liverpool? Did you ever have that feeling at any point?
No.
Huh. Okay.
I didn't have that feeling.
Okay, never.
Honesty here, as always, because I don't not bring honesty. Don't know why I have my hands up like this. You can't see it. There it is. There I felt like Liverpool's luck was eventually going to run out.
Yeah.
They were setting I think they scored more goals past 75 minutes than any team ever in the history of the Premier League.
Came back from 1-0 down.
And
30 times.
And I said this on the pod a couple weeks ago. Their story before this, the faltering here, I think I said after the Fulham match, their story's unreal. And I can't believe that they continue to do this. And I'm completely giving them all the credit because of all the things they've overcome, whether it was a new midfield or ridiculous amounts of injuries, this, that, and the other. And somehow they keep hanging in there. And unfortunately, in the last 2 weeks, it's just it's gone flat-ish.
6.
But anyway, so I don't know. I felt like their luck ran out a little bit. This Arsenal team felt a little different. Maybe with Declan Rice in midfield, they were healthy at the end of the season instead of the other way around, right?
That's the big one.
They've
been very
options.
lucky with.
They're bringing Martinelli and Jesus off the bench instead of starting them. So Havertz and Rice have they've just been amazing. These Havertz, especially the last half of the season. So I don't know. What did you think that, Brian, or no? You were surprised by his answer.
Yeah, because I just thought it just seemed like when Liverpool kept finding ways that you just think like that has been the thing with them is that they were just able to keep finding a way, and so
they weren't convincing in finding the way, and they don't have the personnel that is just locked and loaded and inevitable. Right?
Yeah.
They have personnel that we second guess and we're surprised by, right?
Well, they were just their weakest in the midfield. It's the weakest their midfield's been for a long time.
And finishing has been terrible.
Finishing hasn't been great, but they're weakest in the midfield. So anyways, all right.
So anyway,
bottom line is Bowen is a legitimate consideration.
100% yes.
And,
okay.
I mean, look, also, like you said, Antonio is, it's back-to-back goals for Antonio too. Like probably a little too much of a reach for everybody. If he was at his best, as you saw maybe a couple of seasons ago or whatever, like you know what he can do. It's just it just doesn't seem like it's going to be that kind.
He's 5'7",
but it's awesome. He's the fact that he's back and playing well.
I'd rather have him than Muniz right now.
Yeah, if you're picking, if you're at that kind of place, and then
though Muniz is playing,
the big one would be: can you make the case for any of the single game weekers over Chris Wood? I feel like that would be the one, for Nottingham Forest, where you're like just the form that he's been in, and I think their matchups the last 3 weeks. I feel like he'd be the one that you'd have to make the case over if you're going real cheap. But
all right,
anyway.
I am not going to bring up another match. We're going to discuss at this point, Brian, anything that that was missed. And then I want to go over, before we're done, and I want to wrap this up in the next 5 minutes, I want to go over the tops of the podcast league.
Just Manchester United. I mean, the question is, for Manchester United, you had a disappointing. I feel like this week, if you have Bruno Fernandes,
I did,
you're probably screaming.
I needed a differential.
Well, no, I mean, that was the thing. I mean, everyone who had him, all day, all match at least while Manchester United was playing, was saying like he was on for 3 bonus points until the very end of the game and didn't have an attacking return. Finished with 2 bonus points despite no returns. Dave, are you mad about that? I mean, I feel like. It's kind of that. It's both sides. Like if you didn't have him, you're like you can't believe that he got 2 points for no returns. But if you have him, you're screaming because you're like he's probably a few centimeters away from a massive haul again this week.
I have him, and I was screaming.
Right. So, something that I know that the question of it doesn't seem like Rashford is going to be fit anytime soon. Like the feels like that the performances. Like you can go back. It doesn't matter if you go back 2 weeks or 5 weeks or 10 weeks. Like Bruno Fernandes is now, he's cemented himself in the top 3 basically of the midfield. And now in the last 5 weeks, he's the number 2, I think. And then recently he's like the number 1 scoring midfielder. It's all the attack burden basically and the creative burden. It's back to like all of the underlying stats. Like he's been good on that almost all season. And now it's like all coming together. Like he's playing, he's getting the actual returns. He's the actual motor for everything they're doing. He seems to be the actual leader that they have, like whether you like him or not. I mean, he's the one that's actually kind of all the spark that they've got. So, and he's got all the experience. So he's ticking every possible box here. Like, and I made the case for him weeks ago. Of course, I didn't get him. Why would I do that? I left that to you, Dave. I still have Garnacho. Garnacho's numbers are still very good. Just he's not, he's not getting the return. So that's going to be a question, I think. Like, do you have Garnacho and not Bruno? Well,
I won't after this week have Garnacho. I will still have Bruno.
Right. So you're moving Garnacho on.
Yeah, I'm going to turn him into like Son.
Right, and so that's the question. So and that would be the question for me or for somebody else. Like, I only have Garnacho, not Bruno. So, like, is that worth it? Is that worth a transfer or, probably in my case,
Saka move.
Right. Is it worth a hit? Because that's probably what it would end up being. Is it worth? Is Bruno going to outscore Garnacho, say in game week 37? Will he outscore Garnacho by 4? And right now, I feel like the answer is probably like, F yeah. Like,
right.
I don't know how he wouldn't.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it just seems like he's playing that far beyond
everybody else in the team.
Like,
but what about? Go ahead.
All the
Finish,
shots.
yep.
No, but just all the shots are going to Garnacho and Bruno. Højlund, who I would have thought, like, he did score against Sheffield, where you're like, okay, well, he wasn't an option weeks ago. He's kind of floundering, not really involved, whatever. And you're like, okay, well, there's the goal. Like, maybe now it's going to turn into something. This week, turned into nothing again. Højlund has played all 6 games since game week 30. Okay, so it's I'm just using 30 as like that's 6 weeks ago, right? That's
sure.
That's
6 match weeks ago.
That's a fine snapshot of time.
Sure.
Since game week 30. 6 games, he has taken 5 shots. He has an XG of no higher than 0.07 in all 6 of those games except Sheffield when he scored the goal. And in that game, he took 3 shots. So from game week 30 until this week, 5 total shots, 1 goal against Sheffield, and 3 of the 5 shots were in the Sheffield game. Like, the guy who you'd think should be the beneficiary of all of, like, Bruno is like the number 1 creative midfielder. Like, it's not going to him. All the shots are going, like, Garnacho's the one who's got all the shots, like, and the chances are falling to him. Garnacho's the one who's breaking away. Garnacho's the one who's picking up all that extra, like, all the extra stuff. Rashford might have been there. Like, the last time Rashford was fit, it was still like, it was kind of like Garnacho and Bruno kind of 1-2, and then Rashford there and close. but still like it was like a clear 1-2 with Bruno and Garnacho. And actually Garnacho was outscoring Bruno for a long time while Rashford was fit. Now that Rashford is like nowhere, yeah, I mean, like Garnacho's not, to me, it's not bad. It's just that Bruno's outscored him by so much in the last few game weeks. Yeah. And then like you've got Dalot. You happy about that?
Not really, but it's fine.
If you had Onana, would you be happy about that?
I picked him up for the double game week.
Are you happy about it?
I think so.
Okay.
I think he's being forced into a lot of saves.
Yeah.
And so
it's not bad.
I think
no goalkeeper standing out that much anyway.
I was going to say on form it's been awful. Like he made 6 saves against Burnley. Did you start him this week?
No.
So if you did, you still feel better about a 4 than you do about other things.
Yeah, I'd take a 4 any day.
Yeah, right. So he is making like the saves are almost always there. Like looking back even through like Onana's got like 2 and 3 saves against Sheffield and Bournemouth, but prior to that it was like 5, 6, 4, 6, 6. So he's got up to 6 saves in like a whole ton of his last like 10 games or whatever. So, and then it's as far as the defenders go, like it's kind of Harry Maguire, I guess, is kind of the guy who's kind of doing the most, I suppose.
Yeah.
But like, it's not like if you picked him, you're like, oh yeah, there we go. Like he's, that seals up my defense or something like that. Maguire's since game week 30, highest scoring Manchester United defender. He's got 17 points. So that's 6 games or whatever. It's like 17 points. Again, you're back to like 2 or 3 points a game, and that includes he only has that many points because he scored against Sheffield.
Right.
So, but he's taken 7 shots since game week 30, which is tied for the third most of defenders in that time. Dalot's got 10 points since game week 30, and that includes no score higher than a 3. That was including his assist that he got against Chelsea in game week 31, which
is sad. Right.
Like to me, it would be, if you're going to pick those guys, you're doing it because they play twice. I don't think you're probably not doing Bruno and Garnacho. You know what I mean? If you're doing anything, you're doing kind of that same thing as you are with Spurs. Goalkeeper, defender, and then probably the highest scoring guy. So it's probably like Bruno, Dalot or Maguire, and then Onana seems to be the way you would arrange it. And it would,
something like that, yeah.
I don't. You're not doing it. Hoyland is an absolute no chance whatsoever. You can't possibly do it.
Zero
chance.
Very good. That the last big thing there. You feel good about that? By the way, Bruno, I did want to bring this up. A little rumor came out this week that Bruno's leaked out, or his camp has leaked out, that he's not happy and possibly wants to move on. And I thought the timing of that was weird.
He needs to move on.
Move on, or he just said either pay me or I don't know. It was weird. I can't remember. Responsible host would actually have the quote, and I don't. But
no one's ever accused you of being responsible.
Fair enough. Therefore, I don't have to.
Just incontinent.
Perfect.
I think the only other big question you would have is what you do with Everton. Everton defensively.
Pickford, Branthwaite.
Pickford is your number one form goalkeeper.
The reason why is because the next 2 match weeks they're at Luton and home Sheffield.
Right.
So that very easily, and they've had 3 clean sheets in a row against Forest, Liverpool, and Brentford.
Right. So and Pickford's gone 8-0, 8-10, 10. I mean, seriously, what? Like that's
nuts.
That is
at the moment.
So many. Again, the Nottingham Forest, like they finally released the audio of the Ashley Young takedown on it was Hudson Odoi, I think, that he kicked. Nottingham Forest released they were the ones that released it. So again, they are still not very happy about that result. Whatever that is, one of Pickford's big results was from the double game week a couple weeks ago. Either way, your number 1 form defender, and then Jared Branthwaite is the number 3 form defender right now too. But there's not a lot of difference. It's funny because the difference between him and Tarkowski is basically it's the goal that Branthwaite scored against
us. Liverpool.
But yeah, like a 6, a -1, 5, 15, 6 for Branthwaite in the last 5 games. I guess are you okay benching if you get Branthwaite now, you okay playing him as a part of your bench boost, hoping that Luton doesn't score against them, because I think Luton's still trying.
Oh yeah, they're trying. Luton, they have a shot at staying up.
Luton absolutely has a shot.
They got to win out.
Right, so Luton's playing hard, and then and then just bench, whatever, throw him on the bench. I suppose you're not playing him against Arsenal in game week 38. The stats are not that far off between Branthwaite and Tarkowski.
Yeah.
So the shots are 6-3 in favor of Branthwaite, but each have a shot on target. They each have one big chance. Branthwaite's XG is a little higher. Same number of 13 touches in the opposition box for each of them. Tarkowski's a little more creative. Three chances created. Tarkowski's created one big chance. Branthwaite has created exactly 0. So I think if you're picking, people are going to go to the guy that's got the higher score, the higher up on the, and also he's cheaper than Tarkowski is. So 4.3 Branthwaite, very sensibly, like probably more people are going to go there. But again, I don't know that money's all that different. And Tarkowski, just again, probably I don't know what the ownership difference is between the two of them. But it's not like the numbers are so massively in favor of Branthwaite that you're like, you'd be stupid to pick Tarkowski over Branthwaite. It's not like that. They both have the chances. It's that Branthwaite buried one of them.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
to me that you would, you're like the next 2 weeks, like I guess like this is a defense that's just decided to show up at the end of the season, and they can't seem to be stopped. And now you have two of the best matchups. Is there
any worry that they are currently slated to basically be safe and that they will cruise a little bit?
It's just not the Dyche way.
It doesn't seem like it.
And they struggled so much this season. At least one of those games is at home, I think.
Do they have a chip on their shoulder a little bit for the point deduction? Are they mad about that? And it's the Sheffield games at home.
Happy about it.
I mean, that's Sheffield at home feels like
Everton's showing up for that game.
That seems like as sure of a clean sheet as there has ever been in Premier League history. Everton at home against already relegated Sheffield. Actually relegated Sheffield.
Yeah, that's probably
true.
Do
you want a 6 or more from Pickford, Branthwaite, and someone? If that is part of your bench boost,
guaranteed clean sheet of the week, and nothing's guaranteed.
Everton's gonna get blown out in that match because you guys said that.
No,
it's just gonna happen.
No, it's not gonna happen. All right,
write it down.
Ben Brereton Diaz with the hat trick finally, and it comes in the most inexplicable. Any of them. He just
sits in the corner and cries.
All right, update on the podcast league top 5. And number 5, League Bo Sunselaway. He was leading the league most of the year. New entrance into the top 5, because I don't think we said it last week, is our own Brian Shesko Scott Thicktomine. What a fantastic name, as he is in number 4. I'm 7 points ahead of him, as he has ran me down like the slow sloth that I am. And I am sitting in 3rd place, although I will get a little bit of a boost as I have a 12 from Saka on my bench.
That's more than a little bit of a boost.
That's coming in for Foden.
That's an
but you have a ton of guys going.
Also, yes, I will have Garnacho's 2. It's not a 12, but at least
that's
it
big.
It is at least
well, but
something.
it's only an extra 10 I'm getting, which is look, points are points right now, and
points are points.
Scratch for whatever points you can get, and then above me in 2nd place, a Flecken team, League Xander, with a 2,199 is his current score, and then Rockabye Angel, League Shen in 1st place with a 2207, and that is just a fantastic score. Overall rank 38K.
Fantastic.
So, congratulations, very, very you guys. Good. I keep hoping I'm going to be able to sneak up in there. Unless I nail my bench boost, I don't think that's going to happen. Especially as Brian. Now, Brian, do you still have a wild card left, Brian?
Nope, gone.
Okay.
Long gone.
That's right. Match 28. 28 you used it.
Bench boost?
He still got bench. We both have bench boosts, so it's gonna it's going to be close. I think coming down the stretch here, it will literally be like, oh my gosh, how many? Like next week, not this week. Next
this is why
week
I'm saying
it's going to be how many hits is it going to be?
Well,
worth?
no, and this is why I'm saying like you if you sort by transfers in on the website, like you go and just sort by transfers in, and you're picking from that stable of players. Like the next, I mean, you want to click on something next and just check the select, like, or sort by selection percentage. Like the template team, I mean, to me, that if you really actually want to win, you really actually want to boost your rank, it's gonna be the Trents and the Jared Bowens and like how many people were counting on like Mark Travers and like you said, like Senesi? Who was counting on Bournemouth clean sheets here in the last couple matches? You know who a top 5 form defender is right now? That Goblin Sergio Regulon from from Brentford.
That Goblin.
He goes -3, 0, 1 in game weeks 29 through 31. Gets that stupid red card in the blank game week, which killed me, killed tons of people who went for him on one of the very, very good fixtures in that weird game week. And then like gets, on the red card, gets the red card in game week 30, so he gets the 0.
Yeah.
And then a 1. And then his last 4, he goes 9, 8, 7, 1. So, of course, he's like a top 5 form defender. Like this week, like whatever. And then they got Fulham, Bournemouth, and Newcastle in their last 3. Like, I don't know. There might be points there. Like, they didn't look great. Everton gets the clean sheet against Brentford this week. Like, we talked about it a couple weeks ago, or maybe last week, about Mbeumo or Wissa, kind of the Brentford attack with Mbeumo back. Like maybe like this end of season, it was kind of good. But, you're not going to Regulon. It's just saying, like, these are the kind of guys. Like, are you serious? You're going to do this now? Like, it just gets kind of flipped on its head, which is exactly why, like, people like me, Travis, you're selling Salah. Like, what if he starts again this week? What if he gets 2 penalties? Like you'll be mad because you got rid of him. It's true. Everyone who got rid of Saka. Like you if you money no object or like transfers were no object, would you have had Saka even on your bench?
I would have had Havertz.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. Like you probably aren't going to go for like some of these guys just because the double game week people are taking, the precedent is for those guys. But, it's where can you be, really is where can you be different? Like, am I going to be happy if Brennan Johnson finishes this week with a 2? Like, of course not. But like, it was the one chance. It's like one of the few places that you could go where you're like, hey, the numbers kind of support it. And not how many people are going to go there. And I think that's like the one thing you can do, which is exactly why, like, Kai Havertz, Jared Bowen the next 2 weeks, like, those are exactly the kind of guys. Everton defenders and for Sheffield in game week 37. How many people are going to have Gusto and hope that Malo Gusto plays 2 games? And you're like, they're both crap games. Easily could get outscored by Branthwaite, Tarkowski, Ashley Young. Who cares what they bet? The only guy that won't be there is Mikolenko because he's out for the rest of the season. So, like, does that ding maybe that dings the Everton defense a little bit? Probably not a ton. Either way, just that, like, these last 3, the last 3 game weeks, like, can you go somewhere a little different? Or can you stack a couple players that, like, everyone's going to go to 1, but hardly anyone is going to go to 2 of them, guy, right?
Yeah.
So
no, that's a good call. All right, Travis, that's it. We're done. We did it, and we only have a couple pods left, unfortunately. But the season hopefully will end with Arsenal cutting the nets down, and they don't do that in soccer, but they do in basketball. This is not a basketball podcast. For the FPL America podcast, this is David Smith. Until next time.